So DanMachi Season 4 is a wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon has arrived. I think it actually might be airing in Japan on Saturday or Friday for most of us in the world, but it seems that HIDIVE, which is the one who licensed it because it is a Sentai Filmworks show, is dropping it on Thursdays, which honestly works a lot better than if they did do it on a Friday or a Saturday for me, so I was eager to check this one out because Season 3 to me is what turned a very enjoyable and good show into something that had me eager for more. The whole Season 3 premise of intelligent monsters, the idea of coexisting, but clearly, given the culture of dungeon crawling and what monsters are seen as, it wasn't going to work out, and it had some pretty sad and depressing moments, all things considered, with a beautiful defeat from Bell when he went up against that Minotaur, and the idea of ending this week's episode with seemingly that same creature. I mean, we didn't get a good look, we just kind of got a shadowy glare as someone got dragged off with their literally leg cut off from the knee down. Seems like there's some training going on deep in the labyrinth down there, and the rematch with Bell and him is probably going to be rather brutal, especially given the fact that our boy has now reached level 4, which, I mean, on one hand, it's been a well-earned victory because now we're at Season 4, right? It actually has taken quite a few anime episodes to get here, but when you put yourselves in their shoes, it's actually been only over the course of a few months because of his level up skill, the reason he's leveling up, so this season's gonna be great. There's rumors going around that it could be a 2-core, which would be surprising as it's never happened for DanMachi before, but given DanMachi's success, I wouldn't be surprised if JC staff wants to make this their kind of bread and butter, their main series they focus on. So it'd be great to see if they decide to do it. But either way, I mean, there is an episode 0 that released, I think, a week or two back, which you can also watch on HIDIVE. It's all at the same spot there, so it's easy to find if you do want like a little bit of a refresher, as not everyone's recently watched the first 3 seasons, given the time discrepancy between each season. So if you do want a refresher, it is available, like most shows coming back after a little bit. But this episode, despite being set up, despite just kind of getting the ball moving, was a great return to DanMachi's world. The biggest thing that really caught me by surprise in a great way was the maturity of Bell's character, because if you remember at the end of the prior season, the dude was pretty crushed. I mean, it just looked like a defeat, it looked like a failure to most people's views. But I mean, as the intro of the episode indicates, with Hesia looking over his stats and saying that he actually leveled up, the defeat and the crushing realization that he wasn't strong enough was actually his biggest reason for growing stronger this time. And the idea of going on arguably their most dangerous mission yet, sure, their team is absolutely stacked. You have 2 level 4s in your party, and a great group of warriors and strategists and blacksmiths, everything like that. But the idea of now getting quests that are given to you, go do a certain task, break a record, bring these items back, or do something more extreme is one of the kind of rules you can do. And for them, given the fact that Season 3 was all about the coexisting with the creatures, right? Because clearly Bell and their party know that not all monsters need to be killed here, right? The fact that they want to find that coexisting way, but the idea that there's no way for peace and coexisting to happen until the dungeon's been conquered. So you have to get to the final floor, and whatever horrors that are there, you have to defeat that before there's any chance of being able to coexist, right? And I think coming off of Season 3, which in my opinion was my favorite DanMachi content in terms of narrative, definitely had some high points with action as well. Just look at the final fight in Season 3. But I love the fact that we're just carrying with that, and the maturity of Bell's character and how much he's grown from being someone who kind of just felt like someone who was aiming to be strong like the woman he worshipped, which of course was a big catalyst in his character getting stronger. But the fact of like his noble goals at this point makes him a very rootable character, and that's why you want to see him succeed, and why seeing him at the end of the episode, while yes, he's always had badass moments, but there's never been a sense of Bell is the one leading the charge. There's usually someone else beside him that could aid in him or support him. It's a group effort, but it almost felt like with the montage at the very end of this episode where you see the group fighting, even though it's not this apocalypse level threat, you got a sense of good teamwork, like they had each other's back. And when they're building up to Bell's finest moment where he launches his fireball and everyone in the room is literally jaw on the floor because holy shit, that's what a level 4 is. You really get a sense of he is the leader he needs to be at this point, and it's not just one of those OP hero stories where because he wishes it, he's going to succeed. they literally have ended seasons with him failing, right? So the fact of the matter is this kind of feels like the start of a new journey for him, which makes his character so much more appealing. Sure, you get the typical, like, flusteredness. There's at the very least 2 very thirsty people for Belle in this episode alone. Of course, you have Hestia, which is kind of self-explanatory. But then, of course, you also have, someone who's always kind of been showing signs of interest for Belle. There's been some blushing, there's been some flirtatiousness and kind of signs of interest. But she, in this episode, as they're kind of preparing for the adventure, because he's doing his homework, making sure he's not going unprepared, she's like, oh shit, I'm actually falling head over heels for him. And I thought that's kind of interesting, because if only Hestia was like popping up at the window with her face against the screen or something, like that was the only way it could have got better. But I like how this episode did take it slow, all things considered, showing us all the different characters. And while, yes, you're probably not going to remember every single character and what they did over the course of all the seasons that they've been a part of, you got a good enough idea of the training that's going on, the blacksmithing and everything like that. And to see the moments building up to them going into that dungeon, the premonition of, don't go there, some green monsters or something's going to attack us. Well, everything's going to attack us. We're going to the deepest and most dangerous part of the labyrinth down there. The dungeon is not going to be nice to us. But at the same time, it is something that makes me say, that ain't going to be just a random dream that she had. That's going to cause us to potentially see a character maybe even lose a leg. I mean, you don't show a character being dragged off with a leg literally chopped off unless that's something that could happen to them. Even though they're powerful, the most powerful people can get stomped on with one wrong move. If one person goes down, that causes them to panic, and then they all start going down. Doesn't matter how strong you are, because you still have to value the lives of your teammates while also just keeping that strategy intact. I like how they're incorporating everyone to kind of have their own roles. Some people aren't really that powerful, so they have to learn new magics, where other people really, they are level 1, they can't do much, but they can be the person keeping an eye in the background and giving everyone else orders, because it is an important role even if you're not the most powerful on the team. Just a really solid return to this show. It hasn't been too long since season 3, but still, as someone who thought season 3 really took the show to a new territory, to me, it was a longer wait than if it was something that was just mindless fun like I have thought previous DanMachi arcs were. So for me, I am very, very excited. Whether this is a 1-core or it turns out to actually be a 2-core, I'm excited to watch this one. This one is just a fun show to review for me. I mean, I really started reviewing it with season 3 just because I enjoyed it. I mean, the longer shows come out, unless they're really, really, really popular, and shows like these in the West, they kind of do dip off and on with discussions, but I love talking about it so much. That's why I make these videos, not just because it's a popular show to review. Really, I mean, you can look at season 3, there's peaks where people liked the videos, but other points where it was just you could have been the most average show of the season. But I love talking about DanMachi. I'm excited to see what this arc has to offer. Glad that it only took an episode to get back to the dungeon. There's going to be a lot of really cool dungeon crawling, I'm sure. And with 2 level 4s on their team, there's going to be some insane action, to say the least, if that little snippet we got at the end is any indication. But thoughts down below, what did you think of this episode? How excited are you for the future of this show? Do let me know. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.